All right, so this is our first Twitter space, X space, I guess, and we're going to make it a podcast too. And I'm here with Steven, and we're going to talk about starting our health journey. You ready to talk about your health journey, Steven?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Cool. How you doing today first?
Good. Woke up early, got my son fed, got myself fed, got my coffee, so I'm good to go.
Well, so, I'm very, sleep is one of my most important things. Did you get enough sleep last night?
Yeah, I think I got about 7 hours. I typically don't think I could really get 8. Probably got like 7.5.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like once I get closer to the 8 hour mark, like my body, it seems like it just doesn't want 8.
And my body does the same thing. Like, what the heck? What is up with that? Do you track it with like a sleep, like a Fitbit or something like that, or no?
No,
Or you just timer in bed?
yeah, exactly. No, maybe, toss and turn here and there, maybe wake up once to go to the bathroom, and so maybe it's even less than 7. It's probably closer to 7, not 7.5.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I'm on my watch, it says that like yesterday, the day before, I was in bed for 9.5 hours, and it says that I was just asleep for 8 hours, which I woke up like around 3 times that night to go to the bathroom or just waking up. But it's like, damn. And then I guess if you wake up in the morning or like 2 o'clock in the morning and you look at your phone and get that blue light, it kind of like keeps you awake a little bit more too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you go on your phone when you go to the bathroom in the morning?
Nope, I'm just to the bathroom, back to bed. Well, I have a clock in my room
Well,
too, so I don't have to look at my phone to look at the time or anything. So I'll wake up, glance at the clock, see what time it is,
yeah.
go to the bathroom, and just get back to bed. I'm not trying to stay up and disrupt my sleep too much.
Oh, okay. Damn, so you're looking good lately. What are you,
Thank you, thank you.
what are you doing? What have you been doing?
Um,
Your physique changing.
basic,
You're sculpting
yeah.
yourself.
Well, they always say that building your muscle too is good. It's a long process. Like you can lose the fat relatively quick, but if your goal is to build muscle and get bigger, that it's going to be a lot longer of a journey. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm already like in my mind, I'm like, should I cut more a little bit just so I could look a little bit more ripped? But I just have to remind myself that you're doing this for a reason. It's going to be a slow journey, so just keep on doing what you're doing. As long as you're getting stronger in your lifts, then you're progressing, even though visually you may not be able to see it quite yet.
Yes, man, I have that problem too. Like, as you know, like I'll get to I'll get fat again. If you look at my like Fitbit stats or whatever, I'm like I go up and down over the last like since 2021.
Okay.
It's like I just get to a certain level and then I'm like, is it not working like as good? And I'm like, but it worked to get down to like 195 from 215 or something.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
then in my mentally, I'm like, I'm good now, or it's like, is it even working anymore? Like, how far can this go? So then I kind of like stop, and that's like an issue that I have.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, my first time when the very first time when I got lean, when I got my six pack, that was probably like 10 years ago, maybe even longer. Um, But I felt like I had the goal, get the six pack, get lean, get ripped. And as soon as I got there, it was like, okay, I'm done. And I got fat again. It was like I hit the goal, and now that the goal's accomplished, I don't have to do anything anymore. It's like I just kind of stopped everything. So this time around too, I'm trying to make it more of a lifestyle change. And even if I get to the dream physique that I want, to still keep going at it, like to enjoy the process more than just getting to the journey and being done with it and quitting.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back to that. Like, so for people that don't know, like you were, drinking and stuff a lot, just like me.
Yeah.
And one day you just decided to get a crazy physique back. I don't know what year it was. Probably what 2014 or 15. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably around
When
there.
Yeah, so you literally like went from not basically giving a fuck. You kind of did. You like worked out and like and stuff like that with your cousins, but then you just went beast mode and just like wouldn't drink, wouldn't do anything, and just straight got like lean as shit. So what made you do that?
Well, when I first started that process, it was like all I was eating too. I was like one of the clean eaters. So all I would pretty much eat is like chicken, broccoli, and like brown rice. And I was doing that pretty much 5 days a week. But then when the weekends would roll around, I would drink, and then at the usually late at the night, we go to Jack in the Box or something, get a bunch of food, and I would was basically all my lifts were getting stronger, but my weight was staying the same, and I was trying to get leaner. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I'm eating good, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, well, maybe it's just like the drinking on the weekends and eating on the weekends that are messing me up. And I think I was trying it for like 6 months and just basically staying the same weight. So I got basically sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm like, all right, I got to stop with the drinking and all that crazy shit on the weekends to see if that's what's causing me not to get the results. So once I stopped, of
Mhm.
course, that's when I got the results, because then I started tracking, like, I wonder how many calories are in beers. And you figure it out, and then, like, oh shit, well, I'm drinking, what, at least 6 beers a night every weekend, probably more. I'm like, well, no wonder I'm not losing any weight. I'm like losing weight probably Monday to Friday and then fucking it all up on the weekend and just spinning my wheels essentially. So that's kind of why
Yeah.
I decided, like, all right, I'm going to stop to see if this is the culprit. So, and it was, so.
And you just got lean, and then you got lean, and then after that, you went back, and then a few years later, you got to pretty big. Like if you look at some of your older pictures, you're pretty big, and compared to now or when you were doing that fitness journey, like what happened then? Like you just got your goal, and that was it. You're like, I'm there, and then you just kind of forgot about it, or what happened?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I think I don't know if it was a mental thing, but yeah, as soon as I got the six pack, I did have a plan to switch it around and go into like a lean bulk, but I think I just started eating like crazy, started eating whatever I wanted, and got fat again. And I think putting on that weight again was a little discouraging, and I just kind of eventually just kind of gave up on everything altogether. And then,
Yeah,
when my
effect.
fiance got pregnant, I always joke and say that I got pregnant with her. That was like my heaviest time ever. I think I was around 240, 248, maybe. Oh, yeah, I was
Wow,
pretty plump.
240. But you're 5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's still pretty heavy.
I
Yeah,
was big for my liking.
and it's crazy too because like when you start getting in like that, like you don't really notice like the day to day, like you're gaining a half a pound a day. You don't really notice that until you're like big. But like you also, it's like fucks with your mental a little bit because like now you're like you can become depressed or like you don't even notice like the subtle changes in your mentality as well and mentals. Do you think like your mentals when you were like fatter compared to when you were fitness mentality and all lean is different? Is like your mental's different?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely. I think, like you said too, it like slowly creeps in, so it's hard for you to notice. Um, so you don't notice it until you're already fat and you're unhappy and you're depressed and all that stuff. And I don't know if I would ever say that I've been depressed, but I call them funks. I've definitely been into some
Okay.
funks in life where I'm just not happy with myself, and usually when I'm in those moments, it's like I'm analyzing my whole life and trying to nitpick, like, I could be doing this better, I could be doing that better, and it's almost like analysis by paralysis. Like I'm analyzing all these aspects of myself that I want to change, but not really putting in any effort to change it. So I think that's what happened more recently, where I'm like, I just need to do something, because thinking about it is not going to change anything, and wishing things were different is not going to change anything. And having my messed up wrist, I let that be an excuse. Like, I can't work out because my wrist is messed up. What happens if I mess up my wrist again and I can't work? So it's like,
I hated that
that was
experience.
my excuse for forever. And eventually I got up to the point to where I'm at now, and I'm just like, well, if I can't work out with my left wrist, like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can with what I got. So that's what I'm doing right now. Even if I
Yeah.
look like a freak at the end, I'm just gonna have one buff side. Like, so be it. It's like
So
that's my path.
you're not working out. You're not working out the wrist, the one side.
Not really. Like yesterday, I did a squat where I was just holding the weight like this, but nothing to where like that's gonna put a crazy amount of strain on it. Because
Oh,
last time
okay.
I heard it, I was just doing a water hose like this, and then all of a sudden I felt like a sharp pain, and then the next days after that, it like got to the point where I couldn't even, like, holding up a piece of paper was hard. Like, I couldn't do anything with
Wow,
it essentially.
crazy. Yeah. So basically, like you said, your fiance got pregnant, and I know one of the things you want to talk about is you're having a kid, and your dad passed away when you were younger,
Hmm.
like 20, and so that had a lot to do with your fitness journey as well, because you wanted to, obviously live a long time. You don't want to die when your kid is 20, because you know the pain of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to. My dad died when I was 37 or 36. At 36, so it's a little. It is, I think, a lot different. Dad dying at 36 than 20.
Yeah.
Even if it's that 16 years, and being healthy can give you that 16 years. It's probably going to give you more than that, but it's just a lot different to be able to cope with the death it's still hard, but when you're 36 and when you're a young kid, 20, and you're just learning life.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so that was one of the reasons why, right? Like you wanted to, the main, I would say, like, if you want to start a health journey, you need like a why, because
Yeah,
it's easy just to
exactly.
slip, not giving a fuck, because you don't have a why. You're just like, I don't have a kid, like, I don't care if I die, who's going to miss me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what about that? Like, is that one, like, talk about that, like, why do you do that? Like,
Yeah, working up to that point, I felt like I knew deep down inside that I wanted to stop drinking, but it was such like a vicious cycle where it was like I would feel like I would build up my confidence kind of Monday through Friday, but then the weekend would roll around, and that's typically when I would drink. So it's like, all right, the weekend's here. Am I going to drink or am I not going to drink? And probably 9 times out of 10, I would drink. And then Sunday, I would
yeah,
feel sorry for myself. What is your problem, bro? Like, why can't you stop? And I went through that for probably months. And then I eventually got to a point where, I started thinking about Stevie too. And, um, I felt like it all just kind of came together where I thought about my dad dying, what it did to me, and that eventually if I didn't change the path I was on, that I would basically be doing the same thing to my son that happened to me. And I'm like, how like selfish are you to put your son through that? And that was kind of like
yep,
the last piece of the puzzle that got me to that really like put things into perspective for me. That like I don't want to make my son like suffer unnecessarily, especially when I have the opportunity to make it not happen. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Maybe my dad didn't because he was just unaware of his problem, but I'm aware of it. So, and then I have, having lost him from alcoholism, put that on my radar. So, in the past, I used to think that, like I was cursed. I always thought about it in like a negative light. And it wasn't up until more recently that I was like, you know what? Like maybe it was a positive because if he would have died like in a car accident or something, maybe I never would have looked secondly at my drinking and maybe never would have thought it was a problem to begin with. So once I kind of
yeah,
started seeing it as a positive, like, no, I'm kind of thankful that he passed the way he did because now it gave me the tools and at least put it on my radar that I might have a problem with this area of my life. And if I don't want to end up where he was, like I can change now as long as I kind of take action on it. And,
yeah,
but yeah, it was hard, definitely hard to do all that and
yeah.
happy to be sober now.
Yeah, to stop drinking is like, or just any habit that you have. A lot of people have different addictions, but it, like, they've got to know out there, like, you can't, like, don't get discouraged if it takes more than a week or a month or 5 months or 6 months to wean yourself off this stuff, because it takes a while of these old habits. But as long as you keep making progress, even if you fall back, because I've done it many times, like, like I said, I went and got heavier again and light and heavier again and lighter. So now I'm lighter, but same thing with the alcohol and the sugar. I have addiction to sugar. It's just, you just got to keep working on it, and as long as you never quit and you have your why, eventually you're just going to get better and better, and like then it becomes, the health becomes the addiction. That's what I'm feeling now. I'm like, oh, I'm like addicted to the health now.
Yep, it's nice not waking up without hangovers and like my sleeping and my schedules are all pretty consistent now. It's like I don't wake up regretting the night before and needing 2 to 3 days to recover and all that stuff. Like I'm just a consistent feeling good all the time now. I still have the ups and downs of life, but
Yeah, I like Danica Patrick, and she says, I don't I don't eat good and do all this stuff because I totally love it. Like, she's addicted to it, she loves it, but like, it's like, I just love feeling good. Like, and I like that. Like, I want to feel good, and it's like I want to feel optimal, and like, it can be beast mode. Like, being beast mode is like a completely different feeling. Like, a lot of people never even felt in their life. Like it's crazy because you start getting fed McDonald's and all this stuff when you're a kid. Like I always say, like as soon as you get off the tit, you're on the McDonald's, and then it's like, oh my god, it never ends. And it's like, so nobody's ever actually literally felt good. Like, how does it feel to feel good? And once you feel that, you're like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's like
It's like a different
if you
world.
don't know, you don't know. You just assume that this is the way it is and the way it's always going to be. But
And do you still get thoughts in your head? Like you've been on your health journey for for how long now? Like this recent one?
yeah, actually, it'll be 2.5 years. At September 6th, I'll be 2.5 years alcohol free. Um,
So do you think that you could be a healthy, fit person with alcohol in your life? Like just like
me,
in general?
me personally, I don't think I can because I don't know. I
Mhm.
think I have an addictive personality, and like my fiance, she would always tell me like, "Why can't you just have one beer?" And I'm like, "Well, what's the point of that? Like, if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna drink. I'm all in.
Yeah,
That's just how I am. I cannot drink and be cool with that, but um, I think I've been without it for so long, and at first it was this learning process of how to be happy without it and feel normal without it. Just because you spend years and years and years building up this bad habit, and when you
yeah,
stop at first, it's hard to stick with it because it feels so unnormal because you're just not
yeah,
used to being so sober. Um, but for me, it was like a social thing too. So I had to learn how to be social again, like talk and just don't be quiet sitting there. But after I learned how to be happy without it, like I feel like I don't have any kind of cravings. I don't feel like I have a need to want to go back.
you, you don't think about it ever?
Not really. At first, I would actually have dreams that I was drinking, and even in
Yeah,
the dreams, I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing, bro? You haven't drank for 6 months or whatever. What are you doing?" but
yeah,
but I don't have those anymore. I don't have any cravings, anything like that. Like I'm on my fit journey. I'm happy with that. It's like
that's all.
a different way to push myself. I think that's
And so everybody, there are fit people out there though that drink a beer here and there, like, but they probably just don't do. Like, I see some fit people like, yeah, I drink, but I go to a wedding, I'll drink one beer, and that's just like that's it. Like
yeah.
it's nothing like it can be
It
done,
can
but
be, but it's for me. I'm
but
not even
not really,
willing to risk it either. Like I'm sober. I'm
not really the
happy.
optimal.
I feel like if I took one drink, that one drink could just turn right back into how I was before, and it's not for me. It's not even a risk, and I'm not tempted to do it. So
Yeah.
why drink to try to fit in with society? It's like I'm fine with who I am without it. So
Yeah.
that's a,
When
that's
did you start?
that's like another thing. It's like when you tell people you don't drink, they're like, "What? You don't drink?" It's like so common, it's so normal that you almost look weird for not doing it.
Yes. And then when you're stop it, like I don't know, I had to step back from all my friends for a while because it's like they drank all the time, and it's kind of like I couldn't even be around it because it's like it's such a temptation. But now that I have drink here and there. Like I drink 4 times this year, but other than that, I don't really drink anymore. But I don't go like it's not like I could actually hang out with people that drink. And like yesterday, I went out and they're just like, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "No." Like it's like before, I'd be like, "Yeah," and then it would just go all night.
Yeah. I,
So I could stop it now, but I don't really like it. Like I don't really have a cravings for it or not. But here and there, I'll drink a beer, but
yeah.
it's not optimal.
I was the same way for probably a month or a few months when I first stopped. I had to like I was like I cannot be around it because I don't want the temptation to be there. And I wanted so hard, or I wanted very much to be sober. So I'm like, why am I going to put myself around people who are drinking right now? Like I was like, I don't want to do it. So I took a
Yes.
break from people who were drinking on the weekends, and glad I had
And
my
for
my fiance supporting me. So I think she kind of understood, and I've always communicated like my feelings and what I'm going through. So just so she's not left in the dark. And I'm like nothing against you or your friends or whatever, but I'm like I can't be around it right now. Like the temptation I think would be too strong, and I don't want to fall back into who I was before. So I'm like, but then eventually I got to the point where I could be around it again, and no problem.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I am now too. I could be around it all the time, and I don't even care because I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I was like, fuck that. And like, but like you said, like it was really hard at first, like because I noticed I had to learn how to re-talk as well. Like I couldn't even talk right. I'm like, looking at how I talked, and I was like, dude, I'm talking like I'm like drunk, like mumbling, like I don't know how to talk clear and concise and have a conversation and look someone in the eye, like and all this other stuff. It was just so I had to really like I started my brand in 2017 on, and that's what making videos and stuff kind of like I really noticed. I was like, oh man, I'm horrible. It's like my brain. I was thinking way too fast in my brain, then the words were coming out, and it would just jumble together and everything. So just by being self-aware and not drinking like that and communicating again, that was a big thing too. It's like, okay, like now you're more confident. And then I'm like, okay, now I could go out here and there and talk to people and just be like, okay, whatever. And
Yeah,
then you notice too, when you're drinking, people don't really care if you're drinking after a while. Once they start getting drunk, as long as they have other people,
yeah,
they really don't think they care as much. They're probably thinking that you're drunk in their minds just because they're like, oh, I'm drunk. Everyone's drunk.
yeah. I think after a while too, the people just kind of get used to you not drinking.
Yes, exactly.
Because even at first, like I
People,
feel like people would still offer me like, "Hey, do you want to have a drink?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." So like I'd have to turn it down for a while before they're like, "All right, he's not going to say yes." So it's okay to not ask.
eventually your friends know that they're like, okay, Steven don't drink and he's doing really good with his health journey. I don't want to be the one that sacrifice, like ruins that for him.
Yeah.
Be the bad guy. Like, oh, I was going 2 years and I fucked my life up because of you offering me that beer.
I brought
And
Steven
they're
to
like,
his demise by offering him a drink that one time.
he ended up getting liver cirrhosis because I offered him that beer. And hey, it could be like that, but that's crazy. But so when did you actually start like your health journey? And like 2.5 years ago you stopped drinking, but when did you start, like, because you've been working out a lot lately, you've been doing ice baths. How long, when did you start that, like your ice baths? That's when it started, right? Like your actual like fitness journey, when you started doing ice baths.
No, I was actually doing the ice baths for a while before I kind of started doing this fitness journey. And they say about ice baths is that it makes you feel good. You get that dopamine release, that feel good feeling, chemical.
Yeah.
And that for me, that worked for a while, but I even think I got to a point where I was doing ice baths every day. And then I started kind of falling back into like a funk. And I'm like, oh no, I'm still doing my ice baths and I'm like, I'm not feeling good anymore. Like, what's going on? So that's why I think for me, you can use it as a tool, but it's not going to fix your
Mhm.
life for you. It's not going to be some miracle drug that cures all your life's problems. And I don't know if I was expecting it to be that, but
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of used it like once I started getting back into that funk, it's like, the way I see it too is doing the ice bath. It's like you're exercising that part of your mind that doesn't necessarily want to do things, and that was the initial. I think the tool aspect of it is after doing that for a while, it's like maybe I don't necessarily want to work out, but it's like I know it's good for me, so I'm going to do it anyways, and started eating better, and it was like kind of like it just all kind of started happening like step after step. Um, and then I started feeling good about myself again. Once I started eating good again, started exercising, I'm like, you know what? I'm not in this funk anymore. And it was just like, I felt good again. And I think it's because I was doing the things that I knew I should be doing and that I could be doing. It's like,
Yeah.
your health is one of those things that nobody can do for you. And it's like, everyone knows how to be healthy, like relatively, like, eat better, exercise, drink a lot of water. But I don't know why so many people neglect that aspect of their lives. It's very easy to
Yeah.
not do those things and then be unhappy, like, and maybe even feel like you don't have any control of your life because you're not checking these
Yes.
small areas in your life that are within your power. So these big areas tend to feel overwhelming because you're not taking care of these small areas in your life.
Yeah. The small wins add up.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
just doing a small win per day. If you're on your health journey, starting your health journey, small wins, baby. That's what it starts with.
Hmm.
And then getting that discipline. I think that the ice bath really helped you with your discipline a lot because you were like, no matter what, even when you weren't feeling it, you would still jump in that ice bath every day, which is crazy to me. But 4:30 in the morning, dark, cold, it doesn't matter. You're jumping in that thing, and even if you didn't want to,
Yeah.
and that helps discipline, which I think went forward with and it went into like your working out and your eating as well, and you just become even more disciplined. But I really think, like, I don't know, like my two important things, like I don't really do the ice baths as much or ever, but I think it's just my two most important things to starting a health journey is number one to me is getting the sleep. Like you have to get sleep, in my opinion. Like if you don't get enough sleep, that's like my whole day is ruined. Like at least more than 6 hours. Some people are running off of 3, 4 hours. It's insane. I'm like, how do you like? It actually does physiological changes with your body too, where it gives you stress hormones pumped in there, and you don't lose weight as much by you don't get enough time to recover your tissues and all that stuff. So you actually gain more weight by not sleeping. And
Yeah.
then once you start eating good, then this next thing is eating good. You're putting that to your body. So if you sleeping really good and you're eating really well, like that means your body is just going to be loving it and it's going to like feel really good. And then that goes with your mentals and then it goes into your brain because now your brain is just, it's working off of how your body feels. So now your body feels good, then your brain feels good. And then you get that more of like a happier life. And then you become, okay, well, I like this. And then you could do it more. So I think that's the most, in my opinion, that one of the most two important things when you're starting your health journey is make sure you're getting that sleep and make sure you're eating well. I think that's even more important than working out, honestly. But I would get those two down really. But and then the disciplining that as well.
Yeah, this discipline I think is a major factor in your journey as well because you're not always going to be motivated to do these things, and when you're not motivated, your discipline is what needs to kick in to keep on going. Um,
Yep.
it's like there's so many mornings I was laying in my bed, 4 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I do not want to get out of my nice warm bed. And this is back when it was cold. It was like 40 degrees outside. To go out there when
Insane.
it was cold, to get into the cold water, there is many mornings where I did not want to do it, but it's like that mental battle that you have with yourself. Like, no, you said you're going to do it, so quit thinking about it and just take some action on
Have
it.
to do
You
it.
got to stop thinking because no amount of thinking is going to make it sound like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. Let's do this. So at some point, you got to stop with the thinking and just take action and do the damn thing.
Yes, and that's how I am with my sleep. I'm like, I know your thing was ice bath. My thing was my sleep. I'm like, I tell people like they want to talk to me. I'm like, I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock. Are you crazy? What? You're going to bed at 7 o'clock? I'm like, I don't care. Like I have to get these hours of sleep. If I don't get these hours of sleep, like my fitness journey is messed up for the whole day tomorrow. Like I know like I had high blood pressure. It'll make my blood pressure go up, and I just feel like shit, and it's like cannot do it. I'm like that's like number one is, but it's like discipline to do that every day. Like I did get 4 3/4 hours of sleep this week one day, and it was just horrible. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. But you got to stay in that. Even something discipline on just sleeping well. Like you got to get discipline and consistency, and and everything really. But to start off with something, like I would say sleep, or even if it's doing ice baths to start off to just get your discipline ready to go. But you got to do something. And you got to be disciplined. You got to be consistent.
Yep, it's
Or else ain't
it's funny too to get your discipline. Like you were saying earlier, like you need to have a strong reason why to do it
gonna.
because on the days that you feel like giving up or that it's not worth it, like if your why is strong enough, like what's that quote? Like if uh if the why is big enough, the how's irrelevant. Like you're gonna figure out how to do it as long as you have the reason why is strong enough to do it. For
Yep,
me,
love that quote.
it's my son, and and maybe for me, it's like I'd have to have my life happen the way it did, losing my parents when I was young, almost like all that built up to this point in my life. That's kind of how I see it. And maybe you still have your parents on and that's a good thing, but you'll have to figure out your own reason for wanting to do it and your own reason to build up your discipline and all that stuff. Like all our stories are different. All the
Yes.
paths, even though they might be similar, they're going to be different to get to the end result that you want.
Yeah, like just real quick, my why was like ever since I was 8 years old, I like my parents struggled with like just like every other family in the world, like struggles was just getting by, paying their bills, getting ahead. And I always seen my mom do that, and she always like took care of us and got in a lot of debt. So I always, when I was a little kid, like I'm gonna be the one in the family that that succeeds. Like I'm going to be that person. Like I'm gonna put that on my back. I don't give a fuck of what I have to sacrifice, love or anything. Like I'll just do it. Yeah. And then I went into a trap of like you're born in the wrong environment, like not the you're just born into whatever environment you are. So I just went and just became that environment, and that's what's really hard. But then you got to break out of that, and then once I broke out of it, and I'm like, okay, now I got my why. Like, dude, I want to be the one in the family to succeed. I've always said I was, and that's my why, and that's like just a real deep why that I had since I was a kid. And it's like my life. It's always been my life goal, and that's my why. So now I'm like thinking, like, you know what? I want to live a long time. Like till 90. I would say, I'm going to live to 90. You want to put it out in the universe what you're doing. So I'm like, I'm living to 90. I say it every day. Does this decision going to help me live to 90? So that then you start realizing, well, I need to be healthy. If I'm not going to be healthy, it's more important than getting financially secure and becoming the successful one in the family. You have to be healthy because, or else you're just going to die. And the same thing, like you're saying, your dad died. My dad died at 66 years old. Your dad died at
Yep.
53. And maybe it is like uh, the best lesson that our parents or dads ever taught us is like, hey, but also and saying like, hey, the lesson is you live like this, you die like this,
Yeah.
and then, but they pass the torch to us, and it's our responsibility to rise above that and become a better person than they were, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with our dads, but then you want your son to obviously be better than you are. Like that's what you're supposed to do as your family lineage. You're not supposed to go backwards and be worse. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes and your dad's mistakes, and then you could teach your son your mistakes and your dad mistakes as well, and then he could become better and like just teach him that knowledge. And that's what I think the goal is, in my opinion, and that's my why.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I kind of felt like too with my son that is like, if I'm the one that could break this generational curse of drinking, 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 and then it gets to me, and I'm the one that says, no, 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 like I'm not gonna pass that aspect of the torch on to my son. Like, no, like I
Nice.
want him to have a healthy life, mentally be mentally strong, physically strong, and not have to depend. Like that's where I felt like I had to depend on alcohol to be social in order, and to think I needed to have fun, I needed to feel normal. Like all these mind games that you basically pull on yourself to think that you need it when in reality it's like no, 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 you just I've always used it as a crutch. And plus too, it's like, my dad passed away at a time where I was kind of getting into drinking, so I don't think
Mm.
that helped me at all because, on those
Yeah.
times I would feel sad. It's like, oh, well, I had the alcohol there to just drink. And, I think sometimes it helped me not think about it. But then I would know that sometimes when I drink, I would think about it almost tenfold and I would get all emotional. I'd be crying late at night. And yeah, I think alcohol is just, it's me and alcohol. We had our fun, we had our run together, but there's,
Yeah.
there's no place in it in my life anymore.
Yes. And I like another thing too is like you drink probably because your dad drank. You like
Yeah.
for a while there, like you started drinking before he died, so it's like you're thinking, oh, my dad drank and he's fine. Like he has a house, he has a fucking job and all this stuff. He's functional.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that? And that's what I thought about marijuana with my parents. Like, oh, I'll do it because they did it, and look at they're still alive. Like they're doing good. They're not they don't have cancer or anything, so it must not be that bad. But like now that you're a parent and you're not drinking, now Steven's gonna see that and he's gonna pick up he's not gonna pick up the habits like, oh, just subliminally or anything like,
Yeah.
oh, my dad drinks, he's fine, you know. No, it's like it's poison, it's horrible, like do not do this,
Yeah.
like this is it could be a path of like 10 years of your life gone of just drinking, and then cut some years at the end of your life as well. So it's like I think kids, obviously, kids like they mock you like totally, so he's gonna see every little thing you do, and he's gonna, and like, so there's a great chance that he might not end up in that life because he sees you not doing that and being fit and taking care of yourself and telling him the benefits of it, of how great it is to be healthy in your journey.
Yep. Like me, even thinking back, like I don't think I've ever saw my dad like eat any veggies, or I never seen him work out a day in my life. Like it just
My
wasn't.
dad
It
either.
just wasn't something he did. So, like my
Dude, my dad went and sat down and just ate popcorn and ice cream and watched TV when he got home. He didn't. My dad didn't drink, but he smoked weed. But yeah, that's what he would do. His thing was like the food, and that's why I was like addicted to the sugar too. But yeah, I never seen him work out or eat veggies.
yeah,
Like we ate
me
veggies
neither.
at dinner, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing this to be healthy. It just, oh, we have some corn or some green beans on the side of like our chicken.
All right. Yeah, that's why with my son too, I feel like I'm planting like seeds into his mind. Like sometimes he'll wake up and I have my pull-up bar set up over here and he'll be like, put me up there, Dad, so I could work out. I'm like, dude, we just woke up. Let's go eat. So I feel like I'm kind of
Yeah,
planting those seeds in his brain, like working out is good for you. And I'll tell him like food's good for you. It's like you gotta have, and I try to tell him too, like even though he's young, that you need to have a balance in your diet too. You just can't eat a bunch of candy or a bunch of just eggs. Like you need to have a balance. Everything needs to be kind of come around full circle because too much of anything is not good for you.
yep, that's right.
So
I learned that the hard way.
plant these seeds in his mind while he's young. So hopefully when he gets older, like it's in there subconsciously, even if he's not aware of it, like working out is good for you. I should do that. I should eat good.
Yeah. And like he's like, you should just like tell him like, hey, become an absolute beast mode is what you want.
Yeah.
Like just dump on all your classmates. Don't go rise them up. Don't let them drag you down. You know, like. But so I think that's probably a good spot. We're already about 30 minutes in. We're gonna save some more. We got a lot of content. We could talk forever.
Yeah, seriously.
I remember back 3 hour conversation when we were drinking. Like I talked to you for 3 hours right now on the phone.
Yeah, probably.
So we could talk forever. So but this is episode 1. So we'll definitely do some more episodes and keep this going.
Yep, for sure.
Because there's that to share and just help people like with our journey. Because I know like you and I both like we like to share what we're doing because we've been there in the depths of the despair and like depths of addiction and all this other stuff. And if we could help other people just by our journey and our story, like it's nothing too hard. Just share your journey and tell it and help people to get along.
Yep, exactly. If I could help somebody that's in a similar situation, like hell yeah, I'd be very happy for that.
Right.
At the same time too, I know if you were to try to tell younger me like you have a problem, I'd probably be like, you're freaking crazy, old man, like quit trying to tell me what to do. So when you're ready,
yep.
Hopefully these kind of messages we're talking about will kind of get to you and help you along your path.
Yeah, the teacher appears when the student is ready. And
yeah, there you go.
There's aren't ready, but there's a lot of people that are ready, and those are people we're trying to like get to.
Yep.
All right, brother. Well, that's good for episode 1, and let's see if this Twitter space records it, and I could actually save it and doesn't just exit out.
Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
All right, brother. Well, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.
Man. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.